What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about PlayStation's PC strategy that's being kind of attacked on the internet quite a bit. Now, there's really two parts to it, right? Towards the end of what Herman Hulse said, there's kind of a video going around. The end of it, talking about having PC players adopt basically the PlayStation. That is what's getting, I think, the most fiery responses. And then there's the rest of the stuff. Some of it is not, actually all of it, to be honest with you, is not surprising. And it's kind of why I think I'm a little divided, where it's like I get people dunking on them, but I also think, well, they've been telling us the strategy. We've seen what happens when you go the other way, and PC players have already made up their mind. Like, I'm a very individualistic kind of person. If PC players want to never adopt a PlayStation, that's totally fine. And honestly, that's what they do, right? They can wait years. They've waited years for Kingdom Hearts, and they're finally getting, you know what I mean? Like, that's just what these people do, and I have respect for that. So I think it puts me kind of in like a weird middle area with the whole situation. But, well, what is it? Well, they went over their kind of corporate strategy for PlayStation, and they kind of laid out, what the plan is going forward. And again, it's not what we haven't heard before. It's basically live service games are going to be same day PC, PlayStation, which I will say, well, I don't know if they deserve like a ton of respect or like, applause or something like that. But, if you would have said that a few years ago, I don't think PlayStation would have done it, right? I think it takes things like Helldivers. I think it takes some of these PC releases or, maybe also day and date ones that just kind of explode. It takes those ones to really like ignite them. And like I said, like I think a few years ago, I don't know, when they first announced The Last of Us Online, was it going to be the same day? Maybe not, but I think like Helldivers obviously proves a point to them, and that's the right move, right? With live service games, we've talked about 1,000 times, right? Live service games, you want as many people as possible. You don't want to roll out. You don't want wave 2, 4 months down the line. It'd be nice to have a wave 2, but you want all of the people in wave 1, and then you just try to retain as many of those as possible, right? That's the entire goal of live service games. So that's the right move. That makes a ton of sense. I think everybody would agree with that. It's really the next part, which is still the flagship, maybe the narrative driven stuff, the Spider-Mans, Ghost of Tsushima's, those. They're going to be on PlayStation, and then they're going to look at them kind of individually and say, when are we going to put them on PC? Now, I think the 4-year thing that they just did with like Ghost of Tsushima, while it proves, it actually is like a weird example, right? Because it proves that people will wait almost indefinitely, like as long as humanly possible, to get it. And like it did do really well. It's like top 2 or whatever of their, non-Helldivers titles. I think God of War and Ghost of Tsushima. So like, but at the same time, it's like, well, you probably don't want it to be 4 years. Like if you did it before 4 years, maybe 1 or 2 years would have sold better. There's no massive evidence because you can't like release it twice to like prove what happens with it. And each game's different, right? So if you release Spider-Man closer to when, or God of War Ragnarok closer to when the game released, you can get data there, but you can't 100% compare it to Ghost, right? Because they're different games, and maybe it's because Ghost is just so good that people will wait almost half a decade to be able to play. You know what I mean? So it's tough. And the easy way out of this, right, as people might say, is just release it on both, day one. Again, where I stand is somewhat in the middle of understanding what PlayStation is trying to do, and honestly, actually having a little bit of respect for, they want the console. And and maybe it's just like my biasness to console, right? Just like people might have a biasness to PC. I get it. I understand it. I think you just have to hopefully get, what I'm going for. If you want PlayStation to succeed, right, you would want to have that kind of mentality. It might not literally be right. You could literally be lying to yourself, right? So when Herman Hulse says that they expect or they think it's going to happen where you can have Ghost of Tsushima come out on PC and 4 years later, and they play it and they love it. They eat it up. And then you say, okay, Ghost of Tsushima 2 for the first year or two. Again, I really don't think you should do the 4-year thing anymore. I think it should be within, really, best case, within a year. Because you're going to sell the most copies in that first year. So maybe on the 1-year anniversary, you release it on PC. That would be more aligned with like my strategy. So, okay, but his strategy is you do Ghost of Tsushima on PC, and then you hope and you want and you expect that those people jump over and get a PS5 to play Ghost of Tsushima 2. That's the hope. Now, from PlayStation, I don't think that's all that crazy They want the console. They look at PC as just more. In fact, I think they said in the same kind of presentation, right? They don't want to cannibalize. They want to kind of just, basically, they want to add to it. And I understand that, right? The idea is, hey, you get a certain amount of people on PlayStation, and then you open it up to PC players, and you just want more. You're not trying to put it on both the first day and almost maybe split apart. I think now the reverse of this, right? You could say what they could be afraid of. What could they be afraid of in this situation? They could be afraid that people will just leave PlayStation for PC. And to be honest with you, that is, I said in the beginning of the video, not to throw Xbox under the bus here, because I have a Series X. I play Xbox games on it. I play Xbox games on PC. Okay? So this is not really a biasness. But you've seen what happens when games do both, right? And there's not too many companies you can use as examples because only some of them are console manufacturers. And the issue is, I think Xbox is kind of what happens when and there's nothing inherently wrong with it if that is your strategy. I think that's my point. It took me a long time to get here. If you want people to just play the games, and people not just play the games, but say, Xbox with Game Pass, right? That is their big push. Now, you can do Game Pass anywhere. So it doesn't matter if you have Xbox. You can release games the same day anywhere. As long as Game Pass is anywhere, then you're getting that. If you value the console, which you could say is right or wrong. Now, my biasness is I do want consoles to survive. I hope that, we're going to get a PS6 in the next generation of Xbox, but do you get a PS7? Does it make it that far? I don't know. I mean, I honestly feel there's a line after the PS6 and next-gen Xbox where you don't know if it makes it to the generation after because technology, so advanced and is advancing so quick, there might not be a literal small little box that you plug into your TV and outlet and you play the game. It might not happen. So from my point of view, I want those to continue. I mean, call me a war criminal, call me whatever you want, but that's what I want, and I think PlayStation probably wants that. I mean, really, they've never indicated otherwise. They do value the console. And they're one of two that values the console. Nintendo values their console, PlayStation. And again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's what they do. They value the console. They want PS5 to do well. They want PS6 to do well. They're also not really built to push, I think PlayStation Plus is actually also a very good deal. It's not in the same way as Xbox because you get those day one exclusives, but PlayStation Plus is a really good deal and has loads and loads of games. They need to work on the backlog with the PS3, PS2 kind of era, but they're getting there, okay? So, but they're not built for, let's put PlayStation Plus everywhere, and at this point, they're so far behind in that department, they can't even really switch gears. They're almost stuck. PlayStation is almost stuck, for better or worse, relying on the strength of the actual console itself, where Xbox doesn't care about the console itself, they care about Game Pass. You can say which one is right or wrong, that's fine, but for me, I understand it. Is it going to happen? That's the other thing, I mentioned in the beginning. No. That's actually maybe the most ironic part of this entire, 10-minute video, whatever it ends up being, is we just had this whole talk, and Herman has all these plans and stuff. What ultimately ends up happening, you might get some. I think people that say, not a single PC player will move over. I don't think they're all, literally one hive mind, of an individual. I think they are, individuals, and they can make their own decisions and whatnot. But ultimately, you are going to get a couple, maybe two. No, you're going to get some, okay? Are you going to get millions? No. I mean, the flat-out answer is, if they expect that, say that Ghost of Tsushima example, it's not going to happen, right? If you think that Ghost 1 is going to sell, say it sells 2 million units on PC, even if you think half or you think 20-25%, so you think a couple 100,000, I don't even think that. I think it'd be even less than that, right? PC players, generally, they will wait you out. And what will end up happening is Ghost 2 will come out. It'll do what it does. It'll be good or be whatever. And then it'll eventually come to PC and they'll buy that too. That's just how it is. I mentioned Kingdom Hearts. I think that is a really good recent example. You see the hype. Now, I guess we don't know the numbers because it hasn't actually sold yet, right? But people are thrilled and people have been waiting eons, for Kingdom. Now, it's already on PC, but not on Steam. People will wait the system out. Not the system as in the console system, the system as in, how things are going. So that's, I think, just the situation. I think I don't really have a problem too much with what they want to happen. I think the issue is, will it happen? Probably not, or at least in smaller numbers. And at the same time, I have a little bit of respect for them because I think the overall goal is to focus on the console. They want PlayStation, PS5, PS6, PS4. They want those to succeed. They don't care about, well, I mean, they care about the sales, and the sales, the sales will be helped by PC, but they also want those systems to keep selling. So I can understand it. Like, I can get what they're going for. I can respect it from keeping the console alive kind of point of view. Is it going to work? Honestly, probably not. Depends, I guess, though, on how many they think. Like, if they only want a couple tens of thousands of people to adopt, maybe that will happen. But if they think they're going to get, say, half, Ghost sells and it gets half, or when God of War Ragnarok comes out, they want half of those people to get a PS5, so the next God of War spin-off game, they get that. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think evidence is very much against that. But again, in like the other side of the coin, I can respect the want for PlayStation, the system, to succeed in the same way I would want any of them. And again, that really, I think, just goes back to me, my primal instinct with wanting these consoles to keep going. Like, I don't care if the PS5 sells 90 million versus 95 million. I care that we keep getting PlayStation consoles. I care that we keep getting Xbox. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where I'm at in my mind or in my life. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.